I got to admit that the name of this section, Bop the Chocobo, it just sounds like a children's game to me, like Bop the Chocobo. Or like
great.
Or it's like this would be the equivalent of whack-a-mole in the Final Fantasy universe.
Yep.
Bop the Chocobo. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they could have it as a carnival game at Gold Saucer.
Hello, and welcome to episode 106 of Rhythm Encounter, the RPGFan music podcast. I'm your host, Mike Salbato, and today I am joined by three other panelists. I'm not sure why my notes say four others, unless there's someone hiding here. I think there's just three others. So, please say hello to Patrick.
Hey, everyone.
Jono is also here. Hi, Jono. And
there's our theme right there.
Yeah. Yep. And joining us for the first time on the show is one of our newer editors, Ben.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. As you may guess, Ben is in Australia, so we are...
The birthplace of the Chocobo.
The birthplace of the Chocobo.
They're those things that bounce, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, this has been an interesting episode in terms of time zone coordination, but we made it work. And some of us have coffee.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Let's be honest here. Out of all of the continents in the world, Australia is probably the one that's the most likely to actually produce a chocobo.
Yeah, we got some pretty ridiculous animals. It's very appropriate because I just went to the zoo.
Well, if you have any real-life chocobo facts, I don't know.
We have cassowaries. They're pretty close.
That works. Probably a little more dangerous, though.
Yeah, true.
I mean, with chocobos have never actually been used as real weapons in this game. But I have an odd feeling those legs and those claws...
They would tear you apart.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that would be vicious.
I mean, there is a summon once in a while where you can summon a chocobo, and granted, it's the weakest summon, but that's okay.
They're strong in Final Fantasy Tactics.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Oh, that's true.
The red ones and the black ones, they'll mess you up.
Can you imagine if red chocobos were real, though? That would be dangerous.
Hey, Mike, what's the theme today?
Oh, the theme is chocobos.
Is it? I thought we were just really into them.
We're really into them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we are, though.
This isn't really technically a joke episode, but it's kind of a silly topic, so that's why we decided to post this episode today.
That's the best kind of April Fool's joke, though. I hate April Fool's jokes that are just lies.
Right.
Like a website that publishes like, oh, Final Fantasy XIX is coming out next month. Like, that's not funny. That's not interesting.
Right.
But when you provide people with actual silly content, that's the good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just relieved this isn't a friggin' karaoke episode.
Take that back.
Take that back. You didn't need to edit it.
That's fair. That's fair.
So, yeah, I mean, so technically we're doing a straight episode, but everything is the Chocobo theme today from various games. So I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah, and I think it's actually a brilliant idea because the Chocobo theme, while it is, it's just two little pieces of melody, it's infinitely malleable, as you will hear later in this episode. Like, this thing transforms into any style, any number of different forms. It's really quite an incredible little tune.
Yeah. So, I usually like to ask people, to talk about their familiarity with the series or the topic, but I'm not really sure how to get into, how familiar are you with chocobos? Although if someone has an answer, please go ahead.
Have you played Final Fantasy? Have you ever wondered what the name of the big yellow birds are?
One thing that comes to mind for me is that, sadly, I don't think I've ever played any of the many, Chocobo side story games. No Mystery Dungeon, no
Not even
Chocobo
the
Racing.
Cute DS one?
Yeah, I haven't played a single game where, Chocobo's in the name of the game or the main character, and I feel a lot of shame about that.
Well, we can fix that.
Yeah, actually, everybody is supposed to be pretty good, right?
Yeah, that's what I heard. Well, I heard a lot of them are good, but everybody I heard was really good.
Yeah.
They are pretty challenging games for how cute they are.
Okay, I guess we need to work on that after this. All right. Well, why don't we get started here? Jono actually has our first two tracks because he thought it was a good idea to start with some origins of chocobos. Where are we starting here?
All right. Well, we're going to start with the Chocobo theme, appropriately enough. from Final Fantasy II. So this is the NES Final Fantasy II. This is the very first appearance of Chocobos, and as you will hear, it is extremely simple. It does not include I hesitate to even call it a bridge, but the middle part. It's literally just the main theme repeated over and over and over again. So we're not gonna, when I edit this, I'm not gonna let it play for 3 minutes straight because I think we'd lose all of our audience.
That's true.
So 5 minutes?
Yeah, 5 minutes, just nonstop. That would be the best April Fool's episode if after this I just played the original Chocobo theme from Final Fantasy II for the remainder of the episode.
10-hour extended YouTube cut.
Yep.
And the other one that I've chosen is Chocobo-Chocobo from Final Fantasy IV, which is the first SNES Final Fantasy game, and this is the first game that includes the bridge, which thank God they added the bridge, because otherwise this is just, it adds a little bit more shape to the song. So yeah, I'll talk about these two in a minute, but I think these are the origins, the foundational layer of everything that we're going to be hearing later in the episode.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, let's go listen to Chocobo theme from Final Fantasy II and Chocobo-Chocobo from Final Fantasy IV, also known sometimes in the past as Final Fantasy II.
Okay, so what's there to say about the Chocobo theme from Final Fantasy II, aside from this is the simplest possible version of the Chocobo theme, because it's the original version of the Chocobo theme. It is really just those, it's just the melody, the first part of the melody that you know. There's a nice little happy background music going in there. You listen to the song whenever you get on a Chocobo, which is, you know, your fast travel mechanic, I guess, in Final Fantasy II, and pretty much every Final Fantasy going forward. And yeah, it's tricky to talk about this, because what is there really to say about it? It's very basic, extremely basic, which is sort of the point. It's catchy, it's fun, it's bouncy. It kind of exemplifies everything that riding a Chocobo is like.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole lot in my notes either, because it's such a short little loop. You know, it's interesting, of course, to think about the fact that this loop was recorded, 36 years ago. So think about that, like how long this theme has been with us.
Yeah, I know, and it's also very strange that it's not like the NES couldn't have handled the version that's in Final Fantasy IV. It's like there are longer loops than this in this game. Like this is in a game that's known for some short song loops, this is a particularly short sound loop.
Yeah. And, Final Fantasy III's is a little bit longer, too. It's
a little bit longer. They expanded it a little bit, yeah. But yeah, Final Fantasy II, it's an interesting game for several reasons. And one of them being that it introduces the Chocobo. So for that, I will be forever thankful for Final Fantasy II.
I think even despite how simple it is, like what really blows me away is the cultural impact of it. Like in Uematsu composing this really simple loop, would he ever have thought that it would have the impact to become probably what is the most widely recognized song in the entire series?
I could almost guarantee that he most certainly did not.
Yeah, he would just be blown away. Like, to see this song just coming back again over and over.
I think it's a possibility that, like, a lot of musicians who write their... Like, let's face it, he has written, some of the most iconic Final Fantasy music ever, but for the most part, this is probably his best-known song.
I'm sure he just whipped it up like 10 seconds. He's like, here's a catchy melody that, people have fun and then just forget about.
Oh, yeah, or he's probably angry. He's like, oh, they need the bird song, fine. Or there you go, done. 32 years later.
That's totally it. I can picture it.
Development's almost done, but we just decided that this needs to have its own theme song. Yeah.
One more.
But it sounds like something that, like, a really talented musician would, like, write completely off the cuff, not even think about it, not like put a lot of thought or sit down with sheet music or like, okay, let's figure this out. What comes after that? No, he just writes it and bam, it's done. And he doesn't think about it again. And then Final Fantasy III comes along and they're like, hey, let's put that Chocobo ditty back in again. He's like, all right, let's work for me. And then it just keeps happening. And the fourth one, they're like, okay, Chocobo ditty, but this time add a little bit more to it.
Yeah, it is really interesting. When you make a first sequel, right, in what ends up being a long-running series, you'll try a lot of different stuff. Like the prelude and the main theme from Final Fantasy I would become mainstays, but 2 had its own sort of main theme that didn't get reused. And of all the songs from 2, the only song originally written for 2 that became a mainstay is the Chocobo theme. And when you think about like what's carried through in all of Uematsu's Final Fantasy music, it is the prelude, the main theme, the Chocobo theme, and the opening bass line to the standard battle theme. Like, those are the main things. And Chocobo was not in the first game. All the others were started with the first game, but Chocobo started with 2, which is, as we've noted, a very interesting entry in the overall franchise. So I think it's historically interesting that the cute little yellow bird was born here in this game and has had such a long life since.
Yes, arguably the Chocobo is the main mascot of the franchise.
I think it's the protagonist of all Final Fantasy games. Really?
Okay.
Yoko would agree with you.
Where would we be without the Chocobo?
I would have loved to have seen, obviously DLC wasn't a thing back then, but in Final Fantasy V, they totally could have done a DLC with Boko, just like what Boko was up to when the Warriors of why am I blanking on their name? They're not the Warriors of Dawn, they're the Warriors of
the Big Bridge.
I don't know. I haven't played 5, so
when Bart's and the team are off, I would have loved to have seen what Boko is up to.
Yeah.
That would have been fun.
Going on dates with Coco.
Yep. But how did he meet Coco?
Is there really a Chocobo called Coco?
Yeah, it's his girlfriend.
Oh my gosh.
They have Chocobo babies.
I need to play this game.
Yeah, 5's great.
You do need to play this game. 5 is one of the best. Why do we need to talk about the merits of Final Fantasy V? It's friggin' great. Play it.
We don't need to. At this point, I'm just waiting for a release date for those pixel remasters.
Never gonna
On
happen.
Switch.
Well, they already announced them. They just need to give us a date.
It'd be so amazing. It'd be so amazing if they announced it for PlayStation and for Xbox, and they just did not mention it for Switch. I don't want that to happen, but I would enjoy if that happened, just to see the reaction of everybody.
Don't curse this for me, Jono.
Okay, well, I guess we'll move on to a slightly more complex version of this. So, Chocobo-Chocobo from Final Fantasy IV. Like I said, this is the first SNES entry of the series, and like everything in Final Fantasy IV, it's a expanded version of the original. Final Fantasy IV was the first one to introduce obviously 1 through 3 had a plot, but this really had identifiable characters with locked classes, a beautiful, gigantic world, lots of colors. It was an SNES game, but you can still see it's an evolution of where it was coming from, and like that, Chocobo-Chocobo. I've read somewhere that it's also known as Celtic Chocobo. I don't know why. I think it's just because of the arrangement on...
Yeah, I think it's the Celtic moon arrangement that got its kind of association with that.
Yeah, but it's not an official De Chocobo name like many of their other ones.
No, that starts with FF5, I think.
Yeah. which we'll get into that. But I think that's an absolute genius name for all of the game, all of them moving forward. So it starts off pretty much the same. It has the same 8-bar structure off the top there, and then it jumps into a little thing, which could arguably the bridge. So it goes from a 8-bar to a 16. I guess it would be an 8-bar to then a 16 bar. Piece, and it just gets a lot more happy. The midsection is awesome. It's fun. It provides a little bit more movement. It makes it so you don't want to kill yourself after listening to it for more than a minute.
Wow.
I mean, it's a great theme, but like the original version is very repetitive because it's 8 bars, repeat, 8 bars, repeat, just forever.
Yeah.
Whereas this is 8 bars, and then it goes into the bridge section, which is another 8 bars, and then it gives a little bit more shape to it. This plays as an evolution of the original theme, and everything after this is an evolution of this version of the theme.
Yep.
Which is why I picked it. I thought this is the origin of the song. These are the origins of the main song. So Final Fantasy II brings the initial version, and Final Fantasy IV refines it and adds the midsection. And you'll hear these two little pieces of music popping up throughout the rest of the episode and throughout the rest of the Final Fantasy series.
I feel like what makes a really big difference in this particular version as an evolution of the one from 2 is the bass line. Like the bass line is actually really funky. Like it's kind of driving the music forward, whereas in the original it was purely just the melody. But I really like the layered feel of the track from Final Fantasy IV. Like as you say, this is kind of the definitive version of the Chocobo theme. Like it's probably what Uematsu wanted it to sound like initially, but probably didn't give it too much thought because it was just this simple melody that had been added to the game.
Oh yeah, you know that he was also like, oh, I have to write another piece of the bird song.
Not
Okay,
again.
Done, good, take it, gone, you're done.
But this time, add some bass.
Add some
Well,
bass.
also, this time he had much more powerful hardware to work with, so
yeah,
he was able to do more with it.
Yeah, having those additional sound channels must have been amazing back in the SNES days for a musician.
Oh, a huge leap.
Yeah, especially being able to do stuff with bass, I think is, instead of just lower pitches that you can oscillate with, you have some ability to synthesize and create your own sound banks and that sort of thing. And if you've looked in the credits of lots of games and soundtracks from that era, Minoru Akao is was like the sound engineer for the Super Famicom era for Square, and
God bless them.
Yeah, like huge steps forward. If you listen specifically to like the entire like Square library of music from that era compared to other developers, like Minoru Akao deserves a ton of credit as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, the bass line in this one is really good. With the sort of interlude transition bridge part, you finally break out of just a single major. You, instead of just holding the tonic, you go like 4-5-1 multiple times, and then you hold a flat 7. And at the one part, there's a chromatic descent in the bass. It's like C, D, G, E, C, D, and then G, F sharp, F, E, E flat, D, D flat, and then back to C. So like you get this sweet little descent as part of the bridge section, and it's to me like that little bit right there is very iconic as far as the bass line goes.
I'd also like to shout out the marimba that they have in it. Like I think that makes it sound so much more playful. Like that to me is kind of the essence of Chocobo.
Yeah, the marimba, I totally forgot about how nice that sounds.
It's also interesting to remember that for Western audiences, this was the first time we actually heard the Chocobo theme because we didn't get 2 or 3. So this was the Western introduction of the Chocobo. And I remember playing Final Fantasy IV and finding a Chocobo forest and being able to catch a Chocobo and going off was always a super exciting thing. It was so much fun. And I think part of that was that the overworld music changed and we got this happy, boppy, fun theme. And we could get anywhere as fast as we could, and best of all, there were no random battles. Because ain't no monster's gonna fuck the Chocobo.
That's true.
Gonna quit with the Chocobo, you mean?
Yeah, quit and work with it. I'm trying to actually think this through in my head, and I think you're right that it's the first introduction to Western audience. The first Seiken Densetsu,
Right. Yeah.
or Final Fantasy Adventure for the Game Boy, also has the Chocobo theme in it. A very short arrangement. I think FF4 came out a good 6 months before, but I would have to go look it up to be sure.
I'm sure. Final Fantasy Legend, as of course we know it, 1989. So that was only a year after Final Fantasy 2. So yeah, that still predates.
Oh, that's not Legend is Saga. You got to look at Adventure, the first, second, and Setsu.
Oh, right.
Oh, Final Fantasy naming schemes.
Yeah, right.
So confusing.
They could only sell it as Final Fantasy games in the West because they weren't ready to establish new franchises.
It's funny, normally if it was later in the day and I had more coffee and I wasn't on the spot, I would know that. I do know that. Now I seem like I don't know anything, and everyone's going to be like, look, this guy doesn't know anything.
No, you know tons of things. It's just morning.
Okay.
Brand.
So Final Fantasy Adventure was November 1991
in America.
In North America.
Whereas FF4 was earlier in 91, right?
I don't know. I was a kid.
It's like I think it was Final Fantasy 4 was like summer of 91, wasn't it?
Really? I thought it was 92.
November.
No, you're right. It was okay.
It was okay. Now we have to
Final Fantasy 2 was released in October of 1991.
Not in Japan, yes.
No, in October 1991 in North America.
Oh, well, this page says November, so now I don't know.
Okay, here we go. I'm looking at the Final Fantasy wiki here. So yeah, July 19th, 1991 was released in Japan, and then in North America it was released on you're right. It says it was released November 23rd, 1991 in Japan, America and Canada. Wow, that's a really fast turnaround for a localization in 1991.
Yeah, no kidding.
It really is. I wonder if that means they came out like promotionally like the same week or something, like maybe even simultaneous release.
I don't know.
That was Thanksgiving.
I mean, the Wikipedia page on Adventure unfortunately just says November. Like, there's not a specific date because
lost to the mists of history.
Yeah, it's really hard finding specific dates on really old games.
Let's go with America got both the Game Boy and SNES version of the Chocobo theme that same time. And I would have heard, as a child, I think I heard both within that same time because I was blessed with an older sibling who kept up with this cool stuff.
I'm just crying over here because Australia got nothing.
Oh.
Yeah, well, eventually you would get Terranigma and we didn't, so...
That's true. We got to win there.
Yeah, that's a huge win as far as I'm concerned.
I'm reading... Ben, wow, this is going to feel very patronizing. You're Australian. I'm reading Bill Bryson's book, In a Sunburned Country, right now. I'm almost done with it. It was a fascinating travel adventure through Australia in, I think, the late 1990s.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's so good. It's so funny. I highly recommend it. Not necessarily to you. I think you might find it a little redundant, but anyone who doesn't live in Australia, I highly recommend it. And anything else by Bill Bryson. Bill Bryson's amazing. I
would like to read it. And I would also like to write a historical fiction piece where people ride through the Australian outback on chocobos. Just a thought.
Let's do it.
Can you write that by March 30th?
Working on it.
And we'll put it on the site. Yeah.
Working on it?
Best fanfic ever.
Walking on it. Oh, God.
Walking on it.
We're going to bring back the fan fiction section just for that.
Oh, heck yeah.
Based on some of the history I've read in this book, I can't help but feel that chocobos would have been extremely useful in the Australian outback.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. A lot less people would have died trying to explore the place.
Anyway, so yeah, these are the origins of the chocobos. And I'm glad that they exist, but what comes from these two is just insane.
Yeah. That's
completely crazy.
Oh boy. All right, never mind. Thank you. That's perfect. I could not have asked for a better segue. Were you going to keep using the word origin or before you saw the way I wrote the track list? Because I'm very happy that I chose that word, given how you introduced those.
That's perfect.
Origin de Chocobo.
Yeah. Yeah, if you haven't looked at the track list yet on your podcast player or RPG fan, I thought it'd be fun to name each of our blocks. So we just finished listening to Origins de Chocobo. And unless we think of a better name before posting, my name for the Pat's block here is Whiplash de Chocobo, because I really couldn't figure out any other way to combine these two songs. But I'm happy you brought them.
I think it's appropriate.
Yeah.
What are you naming the episode? Is it going to be Rhythm to Chocobo?
Sure, probably.
There we go.
You know, naming the episode is something I always figure out very late in the process, unfortunately. I always pull people on the episodes. I'm like, hey, by the way, put everyone on the spot, come up with a name for this. But you know, it's hard to come up with a name right on the spot, even though you just did. So yeah, so we might do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, Pat, what crazy stuff do you have for us?
Yeah, we have some really fun stuff coming in this next block. First up, we have the controversial Crazy Chocobo from Final Fantasy XIII 2. Arranged by Shootie HG, and we'll get into that more afterwards. And then after that, we're going to hear the Final Fantasy VII Piano Collections arrangement version of the FF7 Cinco de Chocobo.
All right, let's go check out 13.2 and Final Fantasy VII.
So you think you can ride
that was Crazy Chocobo and Cinco de Chocobo. And all right, let's just jump into it with Crazy Chocobo. So Shootie HG is a artist name or moniker for a sound engineer and sound designer named Sean McPherson. Most of Final Fantasy XIII-2 was composed by a trio, Masashi Hamauzu, Mitsuto Suzuki, and Naoshi Mizuta. And for whatever reason, they're like, someone at some point said, hey, we want like a Limp Bizkit style butt rock song to throw in the middle of 13.2. It is not the standard music for the Chocobo theme. There is another Chocobo track on 13.2 that if you play the game and you're just riding a Chocobo, you get this theme. Crazy Chocobo was used for a racing minigame, if I recall correctly. And when the song first came out, it was universally disparaged. I mean, people were just like there was like fan outrage over it.
How could you do this to my song?
Yeah, if you go and look up this song on YouTube, the first posting of it, which was actually a leak before, like a few weeks before the game came out, and look at the comments over like the last 5 years, you'll find that at least for the fan base, this song has aged incredibly well. People actually love it. It's like to dislike ratio sharply moved in the positive in the last 5 years, and I think that fan experience matches my own. I remember when it first came out, I was like, this is kind of a schlock song and certainly goofy and dumb, but man, thinking back to it now and listening to it, and like just the stupid lyrics, things like everybody's gonna want to ride your Chocobo, and so cute yet fierce is he from hell. Stuff like that, just
so
like
stupid.
it is the dumbest lyrics on earth. But like the double bass pedal like drumming and just like intentionally like, yes, just everything about it is what I would refer to as sort of like butt rock or like borders on nu metal. And like you really could imagine this being a Limp Bizkit song, like Fred Durst singing this. But it was all the work of this one sound engineer who was like, I'm going to put it all out there. And like, I just have so much respect for him doing something so absurd and ridiculous with the Chocobo theme. And it's barely a Chocobo song by the end, but it's so memorable. So I adore it.
I saw in the comments from the video was actually a comment from him.
Yes, from Shootie HG. Yep.
Yeah, and he summarizes it perfectly. Like his closing sentence, he says, take changes or risk being normal.
Yeah.
And like this Chocobo theme is anything but normal.
I agree. And riffing off my joke in my section about how the original was probably written in like a minute and a half, this clearly, more effort has gone into this arrangement than probably has gone into any of the original versions of the Chocobo theme. Like a lot of work obviously went into this arrangement of this song. I'm also looking at the wiki page here, and it says the lyrics were simply credited to Square Enix Music, which I just think is hysterically funny that no one wants to take credit for these lyrics.
No, yeah, not even Sean's taking credit for those.
Oh, I think they're funny though. Like clearly the song is trying to be absurd and it nails it.
It does.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining like somebody, no one's taking credit. It's not, no one's taking credit. It's just anonymous. Like it shows these lyrics show up on like the manager of the Square Enix Music's desk, and it's like perfect in calligraphy, just like this beautiful little note that's left on his desk. I can't think of anything funnier than like a perfect calligraphy, the line, gonna ride him straight through hell in this Chocobo Rodeo.
Yes.
Yep.
It's so edgy.
My reaction was also like a lot of people, like the first thing I wrote in my notes was that I've never loathed and loved a Chocobo theme as much as this one.
Yep.
Like it's, when you first hear it, it's like it's so completely unlike what you think it's going to be. So it's like, and I like new things. Like I like experiencing new things, and musically I like when people do different things with music. So So like normally I'm like, yeah, I'm all for it, but like this one just caught me off guard so much. It's almost like Shootie HD like played Final Fantasy X and heard Otherworld and said, this is really tame. Like let's go a little further with this.
Yeah.
And it has the energy of like what you would normally associate with like a boss fight in these games, and it's just riding a chocobo. And like the music is just hilariously over the top. The lyrics obviously are too, and it's one of the. I'm not going to call it. Well, okay, some of the lyrics are kind of stupid, but obviously that's by design. It's one of those things where when you get to like stupid humor, I have very like particular. Sometimes that works for me, and sometimes it doesn't. But I think a lot of times, if it's stupid enough, if it goes so far down that road, it kind of loops back around. I'm like, oh wait, it becomes funny again. I think that's why this works for me, because it's like I went from like, yeah, I don't like this at all, and now whenever I can work in the phrase, so you think you can ride this chocobo into a conversation, I will do it. But I got to listen to lyrics again, because I mean, the one you guys keep quoting, I'm like, oh boy, that one is the one I need to work into conversations now.
Well, when I feed my guinea pigs, I have a boy guinea pig named Henry, and I like to think I'll give him some hay, and it's like gas him up with the greens and let him go.
Yes.
Stand back, stand clear, as he puts on a show.
See, this song is a masterpiece.
It's
People don't realize, like, this is the best Chocobo thing.
Yeah, it's so f***ing dumb, and it's so perfect. I think, Mike, what you said about loving and loathing simultaneously, like, I hold both of those beautiful feelings in tension.
I think if you're a musician, one thing you desperately need to strive for is an understanding of an appreciation of musical styles that you may not like. Like, I instinctively feel a revulsion to thrash metal. Deep inside my soul, I feel a revulsion. And I'm not a giant fan of, I guess, would this be considered rap, like the lyrics? It feels like it.
Yeah,
anyway.
Well, there's certainly, it's spoken word, right?
Yeah,
it's not singing.
Yeah, exactly. And like neither of these music styles connect with me, and I can't stand thrash metal. But at the same time, because I strive to look beyond my own tastes at the effort and talent and artistry that goes into making this music that I do not like, I can appreciate this song from that angle. But in every other way, I loathe this song. Like, oh my god, it's so bad. I hate it so much.
It's so bad, it's good.
If you haven't,
no, it's not for me.
If you haven't played 13.2 or aren't going to play 13.2, at least watch a video, because I think the experience, the audio-visual experience of hearing this while just seeing someone just trot along on a chocobo actually will give you a different kind of appreciation for it. I'm not saying it's going to make you like it anymore, but you'll be like, oh, okay, now I'm even more confused.
The juxtaposition's hilarious.
Perhaps, but this song almost single-handedly is responsible for me thinking about removing Final Fantasy XIII, all three of them, from my backlog list.
Oh gosh. Oh no. Well, we're going to get late, we're getting some more 13 recognition coming up in the playlist, and I think hopefully that'll redeem it for you, because there's some really good tracks coming up.
They will, I promise.
Yeah.
But this is I think this is about as I'm saying this now, evidently, this might change in the future, but this is about as far as I think you can push the Chocobo theme without breaking it completely.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I agree. This is the outer limits of Chocobodom.
Yeah.
I also don't know of any other Rhythm Encounter episode or theme in the past or the future that we've talked about where this would have fit, except this episode. So I'm happy that it was here.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm. Are we in hell? I don't know. Let's go.
All right. Well, let's go to the next one, because I think this one is more roundly, instead of love-hate, I think this one is just more roundly in the realm of love. At least it is for me.
Oh, yeah.
So the original song, Cinco de Chocobo, it's called Cinco because that's the Spanish word for 5, and the big twist on this arrangement, or remaking, it's still completely Uematsu's composition, is that instead of the song being in 4/4, it's in 5/4. It's in a 5 time signature. The time signature has been warped in other ways too. There's a Waltz to Chocobo that's in 3-4 in another game. But Cinco de Chocobo is really interesting for pulling off 5. Now, sometimes it also breaks into a 6. And the only reason I know this is I have the sheet music for FF7 Piano Collection, so it's really easy for me to look at and study. But yeah, in the original version in FF7, it, you know, the whole tricky bit to it was we're going to play with the time signature, which means we're going to hold different notes in the melody for longer, and others, you know, we're going to truncate and make it shorter. That feeling in 5 is so wild because you're counting out and you're going to expect 2 sets of 3, but you get 3 and then 2, so you always get that jump. That's the surprise, and I think that it gives a totally different feel. And if you imagined riding a Chocobo, or in fact just riding in general, you expect so much consistency. You would expect sort of a common time 4/4 feeling to it. So it's so off kilter. Now Seiji Honda, who did the FF7 Piano Collection version, his performance is a little more jazzy than the OST version, and I don't know, I was going to do the original version, but I love this Piano Collection version so much that I just felt like I had to do it. There's also a couple of breaks and a little bit of improvisation in this version that's not in the OST version, that I was just like, if we're gonna, you know, mess with the time signature and have fun with it, let's do this version, because I just think it's really unique.
I always learn so much about music when you're on. Like, as all of these Chocobo themes, like almost every single one, like I can look at the name and like I understand why they're named what they're named. I understand Mambo and Crazy and Blues and all of those. I never knew why this one was named that. So thank you for that.
It's so funny when I first listened to the song. I mean, I've heard the you know, the Final Fantasy VII version, because, you know, this is the song that plays when you're riding a chocobo on the map. But when I was listening to this piano version, my very first thought was, this sounds like Take 5. And then
exactly.
Yeah, this sounds like Take 5. And then I just was looking at the wiki here, and it says specifically an homage to Take 5.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
if you guys know,
Dave
that's
Brubeck Quartet.
Dave Brubeck's Take 5. Uematsu was clearly familiar with the piece and went for that style.
Yeah, so the do 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 do. Yep.
I shouldn't admit this, but all I can think of when you say Take 5 is my favorite Reese's candy. So
it's an homage to Uematsu's favorite candy.
I mean, I would like an
Take
homage
5.
to that. Take 5's so fantastic.
That would be anachronistic. I think Take 5 came out after FF7.
That's true. There's a time paradox going on.
Yeah.
So.
Well, 13.2 will explain it, I'm sure.
Yeah. I don't know, Ben, do you have Take 5s?
I think a lot of our confectionery here varies significantly, but we're starting to get more like Reese's and stuff, which I'm really happy about.
Yeah. So Take 5 has 5 things in it. So it's chocolate and peanut butter and caramel, pretzel.
Pretzel is the weird thing.
And
I've had one before. That thing.
Yeah. Anyway.
That thing that sounds like a chocobo.
Yes.
Apparently.
Not to take us too off topic, okay? But I don't usually get the option to talk about a Take 5 on Rhythm Encounter, so I'm going to take advantage.
Fine.
Welcome to Candy Encounter.
Actually, if we keep it with the R, we have to do a Reese's Encounter specifically.
Reese's Encounter, yes.
Sign me up. I love Reese's.
All right. Future Patreon show.
We'll record it live from Hershey Park. I'll meet you guys there.
All right.
Yeah, it's just a really, really cool song, and this particular arrangement of it, the piano arrangement, is amazing.
It's beautiful.
It's
such
beautiful.
A nice track.
Yeah, and it genuinely sounds like it's an homage to Take 5, but it's very much its own piece, and it works. It's again a perfect example of just how malleable the Chocobo theme is, and how you can fit it into a different time. You can fit it into different scales, and it still works. It still works.
Yeah, I mean, 7. Not that we're talking about electric to Chocobo, but I think 7's a really good example too of when they started really going like. I mean, other games had more than one theme, but like comparing this to electric, and I think there's another one or two in 7. It's just really interesting, like hearing all the different takes, even within a single game.
Yeah, there was another one for associated with like the Chocobo farm that was more sort of a soft lullaby kind of piece, I think. Yeah, we start getting more than one Chocobo theme with the later games, and yeah, I think I prefer Cinco over Electric. Electric's, is that the racing,
like the surf rock kind of one? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Which is that's still a good track too, but I prefer what you get to hear on the world map with Cinco.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. It's like it. I like the energy of Chocobo-Chocobo because it has this like, it's this fun bop and it's like exciting and upbeat. And this one is upbeat, but it doesn't have that. I don't mean this in a bad way. It's like, it's not as exciting. It's just kind of relaxing.
Yeah, it's a little more chill.
It's a lot more chill.
Particularly this arrangement. Like when I listen to this, it sounds classy. Like I could hear it in like a lounge bar, like while I'm having a whiskey or something. Just like it feels like that kind of music to me, which I mean, that's not exactly the vibe that I get from the original in Final Fantasy VII, but certainly this arrangement.
Yeah, it's actually really funny you said that because that was one of the things I wanted to talk about because I know I know Pat can play piano. So I thought it'd be fun. Like, Pat, we should just take you to a piano bar and just have you start playing this.
I've struggled a great deal with this one, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've gotten really good at about half of the piano collections, but 7 has been, for whatever reason, a struggle for me. These arrangements are a little more complex than what you'll hear on even like 8, 9, 10. 10-2. Well, 10-2 can get a little wild because it's so jazzy, but like 7 I've always struggled with, and Cinco de Chocobo is no exception. The main part's fine, but when you get to some of that sort of improvish solo fun stuff, I start to check out, and that's when I want to call in someone who's more professional. In fact, I think Cara Comparetto has this exact version recorded on her YouTube account, and if I were at a bar and someone was playing piano of Final Fantasy music, I'd want her there because she kills it, man.
Give me a link to that. I'll put it in the notes.
I will.
Or you can just put it in the notes.
I will.
Thank you.
I think it's also important to remember that just like in my blog, how it was, Final Fantasy II was the first Chocobo theme. Final Fantasy IV was an evolution. It was the first entry on the SNES. This is the first entry on the PlayStation, and this is like, it's a jump to 32-bit. And because of that, we can really hear just how much more complex the arrangements get here, and the new tools that they had to explore music in these games. And obviously you can certainly hear it with this. This is not something I think could be pulled off on the SNES sound chip.
No, yeah.
The number of channels, the number of unique instruments or synths that you can have running simultaneously, I think quadrupled from SNES to the 32-bit. I think it went from did it go from 8 channels to 32 channels, or 8 channels to 16? So you could have like just a lot more going on, just layering.
I've been joking about this, but I genuinely love the idea that Uematsu, this is his Hotel California. This is his American Pie. This is the song that he wrote that he loathes now, that just follows him everywhere. He can't get away from it. I just imagine he's so excited about working with the PlayStation sound chip. He's like, I'm going to be able to do so many things. And they're like, yeah, we're going to need 4 different Chocobo themes for this game. Because that's a lot of Chocobo.
Yeah, it is.
The way you keep coming back to this is really making working at Square in like the 80s and 90s feel like Office Space. And Uematsu's just sitting.
We're gonna need more.
Yeah, he's just sitting in the cubicle, and the Chocobo theme is basically his TPS reports.
We're gonna need another Chocobo theme.
Yeah, we're gonna need a few more of those.
3 already.
Yeah,
he's not going home until he's finished.
Also, we're gonna need you to come in on Saturday and finish that. If we might need another one out on top of that too. That would be great. Anyway, I wish I knew about the origin or the naming behind Cinco. I would have probably paired it with Mambo, but I also really stand by pairing that with Crazy Chocobo because it's just a ridiculous pairing.
It is Whiplash.
It is. It is.
To go from that one to the other, yeah.
Oh yeah, they're polar opposites.
Yes,
Yeah.
they are. Yeah, you got like stupid out there, and then like classy as hell.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Here's a question that I have, because Final Fantasy VII Remake has been on my backlog forever, and I've not just been avoiding the game, but I've also been avoiding listening to the music because I want it to be original. How are the Chocobo themes in the remake?
I don't know. I'm in the same camp as you, actually, Jono. I haven't played the remake, and I haven't listened to the music yet.
I can't recall hearing the Chocobo theme. Like there are themes that play when you're around a Chocobo that are kind of like country western sort of style, but off the top of my head, I can't actually remember hearing it.
I guess that makes sense because we're still in Midgar. We haven't gotten to the Golden Saucer, and we haven't gotten to the Overworld yet. So, I mean, those are the two places where genuinely you or the Chocobo farm for that matter. So these places, there's going to be like 20 Chocobo themes in Reborn.
Yeah, the next game should be pretty Chocobo heavy on the soundtrack.
It's going to be nothing but Chocobo music the entire game.
I'll take it.
Yeah, that would be fine with me.
I haven't finished Remake, but I don't know if there's any Chocobo. I'm actually looking at the soundtrack now just to see. That's kind of weird to think about, huh?
I'm looking at it now. We got we have a few of them. We have Wild de Chocobo, which is plays while using fast travel. We have an arrangement of Electric de Chocobo that's in the jukebox, and we have Hip Hop de Chocobo, which is another obtainable track for the jukebox. So presumably Hip Hop de Chocobo and Electric de Chocobo, the remake, are going to be will be in the next game, presumably.
So 2 of the 3 are jukebox songs. All right. Well, that's fair. You're not gonna get very far inside Midgar on a Chocobo anyway.
Right. In the original
when you have
game,
motorcycles,
you don't see them at all in the Midgar.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Are we ready to go to our third block here?
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Let's get bopping. All right. So our third block is Bop the Chocobo. So this is one of those episodes where I always try to like mix people's tracks around, but whatever. We ended up having a block that's just Jono, one that's just Pat, and then that leaves the rest of the episode for Ben and I. So
yay.
Yeah. So my first song of the episode is Mambo de Chocobo, but it's the arrangement and performance from the Bra Bra Brass de Bravo 2 album. So I'm really excited about this one. I love these albums so much. So I'm glad I had an opportunity to bring one on. And Ben,
it's tough for me to follow that because the arrangement that you've picked is just phenomenal. But I've chosen Pulse de Chocobo from Final Fantasy XIII, composed by Masashi Hamauzu. And I think it's a really interesting take and very funky.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, don't worry about like following mine. Like I love the Chocobo music, and well, I love all the music in 13. So
it's all good.
You are just fine. So let's go listen to Mambo de Chocobo and Pulse de Chocobo.
Let's go.
So, Mambo de Chocobo. This is one of the Chocobo themes in the new Theater Rhythm, and I keep going back and playing it because I like it so much. I'm only a little sad that it's a field theme, so you can't play multiplayer with it. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Despite not having played Final Fantasy V, as I talked about, I really just adore this song, and the Bra Bra albums are so good. There's been 3 of them, 3 general ones, and then a Final Fantasy VII specific one. And we're going to talk about this song, but just quickly, I encourage anyone to check out the albums entirely. I don't know if they're on Square's YouTube channel, but they're just so fun. I would absolutely love to hear one of these performed live. It must be just a great show. But just the use of brass and the higher notes here, and just the liveliness and energy of this performance, I just love. It really celebrates the spirit of this song, but just in a new way and new instrumentation.
It is just such a joy to listen to. One of the happiest songs I've ever heard. And I feel like it takes what the original Mambo is, which is, it's kind of playful, and it just elevates it. This is next level. Yeah,
just the intro bars, right? That intro vamp going back and forth, and then you get that break of silence and the the way they emulated on this arrangement is really good too. But the original, I remember the first time I heard it, in the OST format, I was just oh, this is very cute and very clever.
So playful.
Yeah, I think playful is the right word. But yeah, having a sort of that big band but brass-centric style works well for so many of Uematsu's themes. And among the varying Chocobo forms, forms of the Chocobo theme, I think Mambo was the one where it was the obvious choice for this style.
Mm.
The role that this song plays in Final Fantasy, the arrangement is just cool, but talking just about Mambo de Chocobo in Final Fantasy V, this is the song that plays when you're on a black Chocobo. And the nice thing about Final Fantasy V is outside of the big Chocobo, this is the first game that really gives a lot of character to Chocobos. The Chocobos in this game are actual characters. There's Boko, obviously, who's Bartz's stalwart companion and trusty friend. And then later in the game, you have to go looking for a previously thought extinct black Chocobo. And these Chocobos just have a lot of personality as compared to the originals. So it's really cool to me when they went back and they came up with these 2 arrangements of the there are 2 Chocobo themes in this game. There's Boko's theme, and then there's Mambo. They really put a lot of character into both of the songs that aren't really there in any of the other versions of the themes, where they're great tunes, but they're just, they're travel. That's all they are. Whereas here, these are 2 characters that keep showing up over and over again throughout the game. And the fact that they have their own themes with this much personality really, really works for the characterizations in the game. Even the Black Chocobo even has a little dance that he does to Mambo.
Aw, I like that. I like that they turned it from a travel or transportation theme to a character theme in this case.
Mm. Yeah, I had actually forgotten that Mambo de Chocobo exists for the Black Chocobo, and now that you're saying it, I'm remembering the cute little sprite animation they have for when he's dancing around. And yeah, I think more than any other Final Fantasy I can think of, this is sort of the most they've ever put into treating a Chocobo as a character, and he's got cutscenes, and there's there's emotional connection, and not just with Boko, but also the whole section of finding and catching the Black Chocobo and being concerned for his well-being at different points. There's a lot there that I'd actually forgotten about until you said it, Jono. So thank you.
It also has, if I recall, one of the grossest moments in Final Fantasy history, where you catch the Black Chocobo and it's having trouble flying, and then it drops, and then it drops 2 crystal shards out of it with jobs. And Bard goes, it's still sticky.
Oh, that's right.
Which means this Chocobo's been flying around with 2 crystal shards in its cloaca. And
oh my god.
That must be uncomfortable. Poor bird.
Bart's just being, it's sticky. It's just horrifying.
Which jobs are they?
Oh, sugar. It's, I think it's Bard, which is appropriate when you think about it.
Yeah.
Oh, God. That's where Bard comes from.
Was it Bard and Beastmaster?
Beastmaster would make sense.
I mean, that would fit.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was, but yeah, it's the rest of the was it the rest of the water crystal or the earth crystal? Or maybe fire.
I can't remember.
It's
I just know.
not wind, but it's one of the later ones.
It might have nothing to... Based on the historical portrayal of bards and role-playing games, the fact that it's sticky might not have anything to do with the bird's cloaca. It just might be the bard shard just happens to be very sticky.
Oh, Edward. I don't know why Edward's sticky.
He's a spoony bard.
But this arrangement of it just takes the original and like puts it up a notch, and the vocalizations of the band throughout it to replicate that.
Yes,
I love that.
So cool.
Yeah, is
What a
just
banger.
hilarious. I'm very glad that I managed to work the word cloaca into the episode somewhere, and I'm kind of wondering
Good
whether
on
or not
you.
I need to use a chocobo sound to bleep it out.
It's not a swear word.
It
It's
should be.
anatomical. I'm a vet, so I approve.
It sounds like something you'd say, like you stub your toe and you're like...
All right, well, Ben, good luck finding a segue from that to your song.
Yeah. I mean, I think we probably need to move on from our previous conversation anyway. So, Pulse de Chocobo. Like, for me, Final Fantasy XIII is not a game I have ever touched. I've never played it. I've never really seen a whole lot of footage of it, but I absolutely love the soundtrack. I've played all the previous Fiat Rhythm games, including the recent one, Final Bar Line, and all the Final Fantasy XIII music just stands out. Like, it is a phenomenal soundtrack. And so my main motivation for choosing Pulse de Chocobo, yes, it's this iconic theme that Uematsu has made his own over at the time of Final Fantasy XIII releasing. Like, we're talking like, what it would have been over 20 years of Chocobo theme, pretty much. And for a completely different composer to come along and have to make this their own, like do something completely unique while kind of paying homage to that original track, I think is really impressive. And with Pulse de Chocobo, it just starts like fast pace immediately. You get the bass line like kicking in straight away. It's driving the song forward. It's very like rhythmic. And to me, when I'm listening to this, it sounds like you are on a Chocobo and you're just going full steam ahead. It's very funky as well. Like, I mean, the previous Chocobo themes, the original ones in the games, incorporate a little bit of funkiness to them, but this one just takes it to the next level. And then all of a sudden, you're just given like a random drum solo towards the end of the track. Like, it makes it feel less like a track that's been specifically composed for a video game and more something that you might hear being played live. So it's a track that's got a really interesting feel to it, and I think Hamauzu did an excellent job in making this their own Chocobo theme and kind of distancing themselves from all the previous ones.
I think you're right, and one of the things that I really like about this song is, more so than any of the other Chocobo themes from the other games, I feel like this one might actually be the most true to the original in terms of its style. It really does feel like an evolution of what the original theme was, rather than putting it into a different style or putting it into a different scale. This feels very much like what the original was going for under the limitations of the NES sound system back then. This feels like, I mean, Chocobo Unleashed sounds ridiculous, but that's kind of how it feels to me. It's very much a released version of the Chocobo theme. Like, the Chocobo now can run free and do whatever it wants and play a drum solo. Also, I know this is going back to my running joke about Uematsu being like haunted by the Chocobo theme and constantly. I imagine after he left and after he no longer had to write it, like every writer after that, has anyone seen the end? Has anyone ever seen Amadeus, the movie?
Yes.
You know, at the end when Salieri is being like wheeled down the hallway and Mozart's ghostly laughter is behind him? I kind of feel like that's what happens whenever someone else has to write a Chocobo theme and they just hear Uematsu's like ghostly laughter behind them saying, it's not my problem anymore.
I'm just imagining Kefka's laugh, like the...
Yes. Yes, that is exactly what happens when someone has to write a new Chocobo theme.
Yep.
I have really strong positive memories around first hearing Pulse to Chocobo. I think of every main Final Fantasy OST, I think this is the only one I ever pre-ordered and like paid for stupid levels of shipping, so I had it like day one. And so I had it well before I had opportunity to play the game. And of course, when I got to, hear it in the context of playing the game, running around, the main planet of Pulse, which is meant to feel like this forgotten and unexplored territory, and was actually also designed to feel like the Australian outback. Fun fact.
We're bringing it back.
Yeah, and everyone from Pulse, of which there are 2 people, have Australian accents.
I hope they're real Aussie voice actors, but I doubt it.
Yeah, no, Vanille and Fang, all of Pulse was supposed to feel and be sort of inspired by Australia. But, so Pulse to Chocobo, what stands out for me as a fan and student of sorts of Masashi Hamauzu is, his sort of what he's known for, and certainly what he was known for up till that point, was piano and electronica. And while there is certainly piano in this track, this is one of the most acoustically alive and performance-based tracks on the entire soundtrack. And to go that route with the Chocobo theme, giving all this sort of space around both before and after the main melodic theme, does bring a lot of energy. I just think the acoustic guitar alone just does wonders for the piece. And I like just how rhythmic the guitar is. Just like I get so into it when I listen to it. I think it's just like, yeah, there's just so much energy in it, and it's so like fun and like intense. The song that I always think of as the second half of this track that Yoko Kanno did for Uncharted Waters 2, called Dance on the Cape of Good Hope. I always think about that. Now, that was a big band track, but like just the rhythm and the energy, especially of like the hand drums, like, oh my gosh. Oh, yeah, I love this song.
Okay, I had to look it up because I didn't know about the Australian vibe that Pulse was supposed to be. And it turns out one of the 2 actresses is from Australia. So
yes.
Vanille's actress was born in Melbourne. And nice. Then Fang was born in LA. So, they try. I was always curious about that because, like, why are these the only 2 characters with this accent in this game?
Because they're not from Cocoon.
Or why that? Well, I mean, yes, but like, why that accent? So
yes,
that's interesting. Stop teaching me stuff. It's too early. I'm going to forget this later. I think 13, I mean, whatever, like what all of you said, like 13 has great music in general. The Chocobo themes I adore. I think the energy and the level of excitement in this song like really works. I mean, for me anyway, like it really worked with my own feelings about getting to explore this world. I'm not going to, we don't need to rehash like what everyone knows about 13 and the first couple dozen hours at least of quote unquote exploration of running in a line. I know some people are like now fine with that. I know at the time no one liked it, but I don't know. I like 13. I'm not going to defend that. I think that was a weird choice, but it also meant when you get to Pulse later in the game, it completely changes your feeling of the world. Like it at least sold that. Like having the way you explore Cocoon and then Pulse is completely different. So like they really do feel like completely different worlds. So the idea that this is one of the songs on Pulse when the whole world like opens up around you and you can explore, I think that this is the right like I don't know, the vibe of the song really fits with that feeling. So that's one of the reasons I like it so much.
Yeah, absolutely. So much of the first 3 discs of the soundtrack feel like, even though they're beautiful, there's a lot about it that feels sort of contained, in the sense that you get a lot of like reverb, and like the acoustic choices are and the production choices are very like, things feel self-contained. And then when you get to disc 4 and you get to Pulse, like everything feels very like open and organic and free. And Pulse to Chocobo is one of the big pieces in that.
Yeah, I mean, like, my favorite song in the whole game is Dust to Dust, and that's also a Pulse theme. So
Oh yeah, that's like the
Erba, yeah.
music. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that song makes me cry.
Yeah,
It's so good.
absolutely. So, yeah. Oh, that's the end of the block. You're all waiting for me, aren't you? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Pretty much.
we got
All
block
contact.
4.
Yep. All right. We got one more. We got to go listen to Chill the Chocobo now.
So
Chill
chill.
out.
So chill.
Chilling the chocobo is how you get crispy skin.
Oh my god. Well, there's no way I can eat 8 chicken today. All right. Anyway, yeah. So our last block here is again going to be a song from me and a song from Ben. So my second one today is Bluesy Chocobo from Final Fantasy 13, not to be confused with Blues de Chocobo from 15.
And on the topic of 15, mine is Rodeo de Chocobo from Final Fantasy 15 by none other than Yoko Shimomura.
So excited about this one.
Oh yeah.
All right. Let's go listen to Bluesy Chocobo and Rodeo de Chocobo. So, like I said before, I was sort of tempted to bring on Blues de Chocobo or Bluesy Chocobo, or if I really wanted to mess with people, I almost did both. But I couldn't say no to Mambo de Chocobo, so what are you going to do? I didn't do anything confusing here. A while ago, I brought on, me or someone else brought on another Chocobo theme from Lightning Returns. So I tried not to, I don't want to go too far into one game, but Lightning Returns is just a treasure trove of great music. There is so much music in that game. Even if you have the soundtrack, that only gives you some of the music, because in the game itself, there's songs from the other two games that show up in different parts. So it's just really fun. If you appreciate the music in that series, that game is just a great experience. But yeah, so of course there's a bunch of Chocobo themes in Lightning Returns as well. And the game itself is strange. I liked it and I finished it and I mostly recommend it to people, but the vibe of Lightning Returns is very weird, because the idea is by the third game, time has stopped in the world. So everyone in that game, it's 500 years after the second game. So basically everyone in the game is at least 500 years old, but they don't age anymore. So you're talking to 500-year-old kids and 580-year-old old people. So it's weird. And the idea is time stopped, but now something, of course, is happening and the world is going to end and all that. So the idea that you have songs like this, and that even though you're actually on a time limit and bad stuff is happening, you're also encouraged to explore the world and hang out and chill and do a bunch of side quests where a lot of people dress like idiots. There's some weird fashion stuff going on in that game, and I don't really understand it.
Well, I'm glad that fashion didn't keep still.
Right. So this, I feel like the vibe of the world, this song shouldn't fit it, but this unsettling world where time stopped and it's okay, yes, nothing's really happening. Yeah, but you can still go relax. You can go explore and go do these side quests, and yeah, I don't know. It's a very strange game. I think it's fun, but this vibe works in its weird way despite the setting that it's in. So go live your life and relax. Guy over there with your oversized neon green sunglasses.
It is just such a smooth track too. This is definitely another one of those lounge ones. It's suave, stylish. If I was in a bar, a Final Fantasy themed bar, I would absolutely want to hear this on the playlist, preferably a little quartet or something in the corner, and they're all head to toe in ridiculous Final Fantasy XIII fashion.
That'd be rad. Is this was this another Hamauzu track, or is this someone else?
This one says it's arranged by Mizuta and Masashi Kimura. I actually don't know Kimura very well.
It's not a name that comes up much.
Yeah, Lightning Returns had a whole bunch of people on it. Yeah, that's interesting. Lightning Returns is just so weird. Good, weird. This song is not particularly weird. It's a little out of left field from what my own expectations are, but I'm really glad it exists. I had actually forgotten about this arrangement prior to listening to the music today. Just because I think, like you said, Mike, there is just so much music in Lightning Returns, it's hard to keep track of all of it. But yeah, this is a great track. This is a great mix between an arrangement and there's actually some original composition in as well. So yeah, great song.
I think that this, alongside Crazy Chocobo, goes to show just how malleable the Chocobo theme is, because obviously, a lot of the other songs are recognizable as the Chocobo theme, and they keep pretty much the same melody and the same section, the interlude or bridge or whatever. Whereas this takes it and, okay, my theory is years out of practice, but I think it puts it into a blues scale, I would imagine.
Yep.
So the intervals are obviously completely different from the actual song, but the same structure is there. Genuinely, the same intervals are there. Just with a very, very different sound and a very different feel. And I think it works really well because of the simplicity of the Chocobo theme, the original, the Final Fantasy II version. Just the simplicity of that makes it So you can fit it into any style, any genre, any scale, and it works. And it will be recognizable, but still give it a different feel. And this is a perfect example of that. Now, my theory is, again, so out of date, I have no idea which blues scale it is. But it clearly is the blues.
Yeah. I think one of the key things is it plays with flat 5 and natural 5, having the option to bend that note. So you'd have both C sharp and D, assuming it's in G. Most of these songs, they actually keep it in the key of G. Just thinking back in my head, I don't know if I think they actually put this in a different key, but yeah.
Yeah, because genuinely speaking, the Chocobo theme is happy and poppy and da-da-da-da. It's a time.
Yeah.
You're going off. You're having fun. Whereas I haven't played 13, but it looks like this is the context of the song in the game is you are trying to nurse a Chocobo back to health, and when it's at its lowest level, this is what plays when you're riding it.
Yes, I think so.
So yeah, it makes sense that this Chocobo has the blues.
Yeah, is this one part of the Saz? Is this part of the quest line for Saz? Do you remember, Mike?
Oh boy, Jesus, games.
I think the whole
10 years
Chocobo,
old now.
the whole Chocobo stuff with that region was tied to Saz, if I remember.
It says here that, again, I haven't played any of the 13s, but this is one of the songs that plays when you're riding the Angel of Valhalla.
Oh, that's a
which
fancy
is the grandest name for a Chocobo I've ever heard. That is a name that you'd hear on a Chocobo race.
Yeah.
And the Angel of Valhalla is coming up from behind. But yeah, so apparently you're nursing this legendary Chocobo back to health, and this is the song that plays at the beginning of it. And then as you continue it, it goes to, let's see here. So it plays Bluesy Chocobo at first, then it plays Chocobo Returns next, and then it plays Mambo de Chocobo when it's fully recovered.
That's right.
That's another great track. I really like that one.
I think that one actually has. Yeah, I'm gonna look it up really quick because I have the list up. I think that one has been on the show because I love that one a lot. Oh wow, it really hasn't.
Next time.
I have to admit, Mike, I was a little surprised you didn't bring a Chocobo theme from Final Fantasy XIV on.
I thought about it. I like Eorzea de Chocobo. It's fine. I think it's one of those things where obviously I have played 14 a lot, so I have heard it so much that maybe it doesn't work for me anymore. I don't know. I think it's good. I think the others are these two I brought on today are just more unique. They do something more with the song than I think that one does.
Oh, I completely understand, and I agree 100%. They're super unique and they're really cool to talk about. It was just like, wow, Mike did not bring on a Final Fantasy XIV tune. That's not on
surprise. I know. I'm on the show, so you're expecting a Final Fantasy XIV, and instead I have 5.
The game you haven't played.
Not yet.
Worth playing. Really worth playing.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It'll happen.
Not the best story in the series, but some of the best gameplay in the series.
Yeah, job system is so perfect in that game.
Yeah, I think I hosted a retro encounter about it. I think. They kind of blur into each other at this point, really.
Yeah, there's been a lot of episodes of retro.
A bit like these Chocobo themes.
It's like a whole rodeo of Chocobo themes.
Oh, there we go. There. You've got the segue.
A Choco Rodeo.
Oh, God.
So there was really one reason why I picked this particular one, and it's Yoko Shimomura, like genuinely one of the most talented composers out there. And I was really excited for Final Fantasy XV, knowing that she was at the helm of the soundtrack and just wanting to see what she could do with what Uematsu had created initially. And she just ran with it and kind of did her own thing, and the soundtrack is all over the place. It's epic, it's orchestral, it's jazzy, it's chill. And this Chocobo theme, I feel like it really does stand out a lot from the rest. There's kind of two distinct pieces to it. So it starts with, it's a bit of a duet. Like you've got just an acoustic guitar and super clean flute just kind of playing together with each other, which is like, it's quite simple. And then second half of the song, it just transforms. It becomes like a layered folk performance. You get some really impressive fiddle coming in, layered on top. And that's something that I personally really like from my own experience, because both my parents are folk musicians. And I grew up learning to play the fiddle. So hearing it in a Chocobo theme like this. Like I can immediately like relate to that. Again, it's just another really kind of happy, upbeat. It's got like a sort of Western vibe to it a little bit as well. Like you might hear this played in like a country town or something. And I think Shimomura, she did excellently in following in Uematsu's footsteps, but leaving like her own sort of chocobo-shaped footprints on the track.
I have a question for you, Ben.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about this, but I have an odd feeling that this might be a shared cultural thing. In the Maritimes, we have a thing that Newfoundlanders especially have a thing called kitchen parties, which is well, exactly what it sounds like. It's like a party in the kitchen, but generally what happens is someone brings out a guitar, and then someone else brings out a fiddle, and then someone else brings out like a flute or whatever instruments they play, and it ends up being a kitchen party. Like it's literally a party in the kitchen, and there's dancing, and people are sitting on counters drinking.
Love that.
And it's a Nova Scotia maritime sort of thing. I can't help but feel that this might be a common experience in Australia. Australia seems like the kind of culture that would develop a parallel evolution kitchen party.
Oh yeah, and it's not a kitchen in Australia; it's a pub.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So like, I can imagine people just busting out with instruments in like a pub, and they're all playing the Chocobo theme, and there's people like dancing and getting drunk. Like that sounds like a perfect kind of mirror to your kitchen party.
Yeah, because I was looking at this and I genuinely thought kitchen party to Chocobo.
Yep.
Because it's kind of what it is. It starts with a guitar,
just a couple people,
a couple people, and there's a flute, which is awesome, and then someone brings out a fiddle, and it just kind of becomes a rollicking thing.
Yeah.
It's a really, really cool version of the Chocobo theme, and I think the thing I like most about it is I haven't played 15, but I have seen a lot of footage from it. There's something about this song that, more so than even a lot of the others, makes me feel like I'm crossing a big field, like a wide open space on a Chocobo.
It sounds like the country. Like this.
Yeah, it does.
These are the instruments. This is the music that you would associate with open plains.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that works with the design decision of the game to like be that, like the road trip vibe and being out in the country. Like I think that really lends itself well to having a little Chocobo farm and this rodeo style sound. The problem with when you're one of the last people commenting on a song is most of you covered a lot of what I was going to say. Like I was going to talk a little bit about the fiddle, although my family doesn't have the musical background, so your fiddle comment was more appropriate, more interesting than I just like that it's there. So just the fiddle and of course Shimomura, like it's really cool. I mean, I've loved her music for a long time, but it's nice
She's amazing.
Get her take. Like I still love the fact that they got her for a main Final Fantasy game. It just gave it a different feel. So yeah, this is a great choice.
Yeah, for me, I think how should I say this? Well, the fiddle is almost certainly the star of the show. I think the instrumentation choices through and through were really smart and really thoughtful for Shimomura to do what she did, and I think for me, the flute is my favorite part of the whole thing. It definitely provides the chillness, and it's in so early for carrying the melody. I think it's just what I associate with this song, and I guess that might also be because in the context of the game, I wouldn't stay on a Chocobo or be around it long enough to maybe hear the fiddle part. Whoops, my fault for the way I play the game. But yeah, I do think objectively the fiddle is the star of the show. But for me, that flute part right from the start, I'm like, yup, I'm in.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I do like
such a nice tone.
The more chill first half, even though the fiddle is objectively the more impressive part, probably.
One interesting thing about Chocobo themes that I don't think that we've mentioned is, this is in 15, I believe, but it's also in a few other games, especially like Final Fantasy VII Remake, apparently, as we mentioned earlier. The Chocobo theme is one of the only Final Fantasy songs that not just appears in the game, but is also in the world of the game. Like, characters in the Final Fantasy various universes know the Chocobo theme. They'll hum it. You'll hear it in jukeboxes or things like that.
They're
so it's an actual... Yeah, it's an actual song in the Final Fantasy universes.
That's
so
cool.
It's not just something that you're enjoying, it's something that they enjoy too. Or maybe not enjoy, maybe they're driven crazy by it because it's the only song they know.
Not Prompto.
It's like their Mary Had a Little Lamb. Everyone just knows it.
Yeah, I like the idea that the Chocobo theme is like a nursery rhyme in all of these various Final Fantasy universes.
I like that too. I never thought about that.
I haven't thought about that. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That was a jinx moment there, Mike.
It was. All right. Well, those are our Chocobo themes. Did anyone else have any final Chocobo thoughts today before we wrap up?
Can I pitch Cloaca to Chocobo as a title for the episode?
No.
You can pitch it, but I can't promise anything.
Denied.
That's going to be the title of my Chocobo fanfic.
Oh
boy.
Oh God.
That plan of bringing back the fanfic section, I am now canceling.
Oh, darn.
Sorry.
Would have been good.
We could have had Australian Chocobos. Had to ruin it.
Well, I'm gonna put it on AO3 or Wattpad or something. You can't stop me.
I mean, I can't.
The fic that closes archive of our own.
All right, so I guess no one has any final thoughts about Chocobos then, because obviously we're cutting all of that, right?
Well,
of course.
Maybe. Well, I think we should just plug this since we were talking about it between segments, or maybe at the beginning of the show before we started recording. There's a really cool album. I think it's a 2-disc album called Compi de Chocobo. That's just like a whole bunch of versions of the Chocobo theme, OST and arrange, if I recall. So if you want these and more, it might not have all the ones we mentioned because I think it's an older album, but
yeah, 2012, 2013.
Songs. Yeah, but if you just want the Chocobo theme in a lot of forms, that is the album to get. It's sort of a novelty album to have, but it is cool.
Yeah, it is. Let's see. Disc 1 is 25 tracks and disc 2 is 37 tracks. So
damn,
there's a lot of Chocobo in there.
Yeah, it's pretty exhaustive.
Is it still available? Because it'd be really sad to... Let's see, I'm looking it up. Everyone, you should get this. There's no way to get it anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if it's direct on Square Enix's store. I suspect it's probably in stock at like CD Japan or something still.
You'll have to rifle through a pre-owned bin.
Well, we'll see. Sometimes they're still in stock.
Maybe. Well, if you can find it, yeah, it's a fun album and celebration of Chocobo. All right. So at the end of the episode, I usually like to mention games that made their first appearance on Rhythm Encounter on this episode. And I looked through it and none of them. All of the games on today's episode have appeared at least once in the past.
Turns out that Final Fantasy games are popular.
Yeah, not totally surprising. Not as often as you would think. Like some of the games today have only appeared once or twice, but
like two.
Like two. Yeah, I think this is like the third appearance of Final Fantasy 2 on the podcast. But no complete debuts. But that's okay. So we hope you liked this episode. Coming next on Rhythm Encounter in a couple weeks will be a springtime episode. So we've done some seasonal ones in the past. We've done summer and winter like RPG music. So this time we're doing springtime RPG music. And then after that is one we've been shuffling the schedule around for a while now. So we were going to do a Hitoshi Sakamoto episode, I think a month ago, but we're finally doing that. So that is coming up after the springtime episode. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that one. So if you have feedback on this episode, if you want to get in touch, suggest a topic or share anything else you want to share with us, you can email us at music@rpgfan.com. You can reach me personally at mike@rpgfan.com. And for the rest of you, what is the best way for people to reach you, Jono?
You can find me at jlogan@rpgfan.com. You can also find me on Mastodon at jonologan@mastodon.social. Or you can listen to Random Encounter.
Or that. Don't worry. I'm going to let you plug that too.
Okay.
Pat, how can people reach you?
Best way would be to find me on Twitter with a unique little handle called Gameadactyl. That's the word game, the letter O, and dactyl. And you can also email me, pgann, Gann is my last name, so pgann@rpgfan.com. I actually check that regularly now, so would be happy to hear from you.
All right, and how about you, Ben?
I've got my own website that I do on the side in addition to RPGFan because I only just started recently. So you can find the website at quolbert.com. That's with a Q. And then all social media platforms, I'm on there as Quolbert as well.
I mean, to be fair, I think RPG Fan is a thing you do on the side because, like, running your own website is not a small undertaking.
It certainly is not. I'm sure you know very well.
Oh, I do. I very much do. But we appreciate you being on the team here as well, and on this episode, it was really great having you.
It was a lot of fun.
Can I plug Ben's work? Is that all right?
Yeah.
If you enjoyed this episode of Rhythm Encounter with the Chocobo theme being tied inextricably to the Final Fantasy series, one of the first things Ben did in joining our team is he, in preparation for the new Theatrhythm game, wrote this really cool feature that goes through all the mainline Final Fantasies, all the numbered ones, and it gives you some good hand selected, curated tracks to give you a feel for what Uematsu and then the later composers for the newer games did. It's a great read. It's also a great listen. So be sure to check that out, everyone.
Thank you, Patrick. I really appreciate that. I mean, it was a lot of work, not necessarily just writing about each game, but being able to pick just 2 tracks from each of them. I really had to deliberate over which ones made the cut.
Yeah, I imagine the hand-wringing over that would have driven me nuts. So
it was challenging.
Good on you. Yeah.
Thank you.
No, that was a great feature. I'm happy you brought that up. Actually, this is the first episode in a while that has had this many links. So a lot of the stuff we talked about today. So I'm putting links in the show notes to that feature. Our review of Compi de Chocobo, because why not? We reviewed that 10 years ago now.
Was that Steven who did it?
Neil.
Neil did it.
Yeah,
Neil. Awesome.
Yeah. I have a couple YouTube links in there for the other Bra Final Fantasy albums. So check those out. And then also, Pat, you're going to have a link to that piano arrangement from the person whose name I forgot. But yeah.
Cara Comparetto. She has this crazy Chrono Trigger project she's working on. Where she plays piano, harpsichord, and organ.
What?
And covers like a third of the soundtrack. It's so good.
Oh, nice.
And it looks like she's going to be covering more too.
Yeah. It's insane.
Yeah, you mentioned that on last week's Rhythm Encounter, and I immediately checked it out after you mentioned it, and it's awesome.
Yeah, she's a genius.
Yeah. So anyway, so all of those links are in the show notes, so be sure to check those out. Along with our usual links of, where to get these albums and any of these
VGMDB and all of
VGMDB and our reviews. I think we've reviewed most of these.
Most.
I would imagine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Almost done here. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to check out, our other episodes. But RPGFan also has 2 other podcasts. We have Retro Encounter that goes up every week, usually around Thursday. And every month there's a game journal where people play through an older game. And in between that are other topics covering, a wide range of topics. So there's always something interesting on Retro Encounter. So definitely check them out. And Random Encounter is hosted by Jono. And because Jono is here, I'm letting you pitch your own show.
I have absolutely no idea what's coming up on next week's Random Encounter because that's the nature of Random Encounter. This thing will be going up on the 3rd, so the next episode will be on the 10th, and who knows what will be released by April 10th. You'll just have to tune in and find out.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, whatever it is. I don't think you're going to have me on talking about power washing again, though, so I don't know if I'll be part of it.
That was a fun episode. That was so much fun.
I enjoyed it.
I really want to play that.
We talked about Theater Rhythm and Final Bar Line and the Power Washing Simulator, Final Fantasy DLC. And,
it looks so stupid.
It's so dumb, but it looks so good.
It's canon. It's FF7 canon.
I'm pretty sure that they're not going to count it as canon, but the fact that you're talking to characters in Final Fantasy VII, like at Shinra, and you're cleaning up the stuff so they can deploy it against Cloud. Like it literally takes place during 7.
That's awesome.
Be amazing if the Power Washer showed up as a playable character in Rebirth.
Yeah, that'd be rad.
He's a super secret boss.
You equip different nozzles. Your nozzles have holes in them to put materia in.
Yes.
Oh boy. Don't get me started. I I think I'm done with the game now. I think I'm pretty much done unless I want to go achievement hunting. And it took me almost 60 hours to play through that game. It's
impressive.
It's a meaty game if you really want to get into it. And I did. So yeah, if you want to listen to us talk about power washing and theater rhythm and I don't know, maybe some RPGs too, be sure to check out our other podcasts. If you enjoyed this podcast or any of ours, please, subscribe and review us on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. That would help us out a lot. We would appreciate that. And that is about it. So closing out today, I try not to do the executive decision like I'm claiming the bonus track, but at the same time, no one else offered one. So I thought it would be fun today because we recently had a reader very kindly send us some nice feedback. And one of the things they recommended, actually I should probably mention that my name is Arnaud. Arnaud recommended doing a future episode on Final Fantasy Record Keeper because they were playing through the Record Keeper arrangements in Theater Rhythm and they're incredible. As someone who played Record Keeper for 6 or 7 years, I didn't even hear most of them because my phone is muted. So I was missing out on these most of the time while I was playing. But I have some of the soundtracks. Record Keeper has 4 soundtracks, and there's just some amazing arrangements. So I don't know if we're going to end up doing an episode just on that, but I figured today was a good time to at least start on that. And there is a Chocobo medley and a Final Fantasy Record Keeper arrangement Chocobo medley. It's 5 minutes long, and I thought that was a great way to end the show. So
it's a good choice.
Thank you. I know we don't usually talk about the bonus tracks, but since I did share it with you guys a little bit ahead of time, if you had any thoughts besides it's a fun arrangement, listen to it. Because that's all I was going to say.
Horns.
I'm just so impressed this is from a mobile game. The production value on some of the Final Fantasy Record Keeper tracks is insane.
Yep.
These tracks are so impressive.
The amount of time, effort, talent, and money that is spent on mobile games and must just be, they might as well just throw the money in a wood chipper.
I mean, this one lasted though.
This one lasted a little while.
Normally,
but recent ones, the new Persona game they announced, I'm just looking at that being oh no.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked it up lately because Record Keeper ended service on its Western servers last fall. At the time, it was still going in Japan. I don't know if it still is now, but either way, 7 years for a mobile game is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a good lifespan.
I appreciate them.
So much good music.
Yeah, I appreciate them supporting it for that long at least. So, yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for listening. Thank all of you for being here. This was a lot of fun. See, it wasn't really a joke episode after all. It was just kind of a joke topic, but it still gives us great music. So I hope everyone listened to it. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Obviously, you've listened to it if you're hearing me talk right now. So we're going to close out with Chocobo Medley from Final Fantasy Record Keeper, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Wark.
I would very much enjoy seeing a spin-off game that was like the Avengers Endgame of the Final Fantasy universe, except it's just all of the Cids teaming up with each other.
Yes, I want an all Cid game very badly.
Cids across the multiverse.
Final
Yeah.
Fantasy.
Final Fantasy Cid.
I want that game. That would be so much fun.
Yeah.
They could actually make it into, what were the fighting games? The Final Fantasy...
The Dissidia ones?
Dissidia. They should just do Final Fantasy
Dissidia.
Dissidia.
Oh,
Oh my god.
that's it.